Hey guys, we're back for another week of Read Along with Alane, and we are reading from the Blue Witch, and we are really almost finished. I think we've only got 3 more chapters to go. We left off with chapter 34, which was a really good chapter. And this is the one where they just escaped the netherworld, only poor Calla's been bit by Queen Octonia and she's got this poison running through her, and Abigail is doing everything in her power to bring her back, and finally she brings her back, and Melistra arrives and takes the spell book, and they learn some things about Abigail's mom, and best of all, Calla gets her magic. All right, so we're going to pick up with chapter 35. After they exchanged goodbyes and promises to return to visit, it was time to head home. Calla was practically bursting to tell everyone she had her magic. They started walking down the road to the Tarkana fortress. Moonlight lit their way, and for the first time in weeks, Abigail wasn't afraid of a rabid beast jumping out of the bushes at them. "Thanks," Calla said, linking her arm with Abigail's. "If I didn't say it before, you're a true friend." "I couldn't have done it without Hugo," Abigail said, linking arms with him. "For a Balfin, he's quite all right," Calla teased. They all laughed, gravel crunching underfoot, as they crossed onto the path that led to the side gate into the gardens. "That's odd," Abigail said, frowning. "Someone left the gate open." "Maybe Indara came this way," Calla said. They entered the gardens and stood under the jukeberry tree. "I should get home," Hugo said, "before my parents send out a search party." He turned to go, but Abigail put her hand on his arm, stealing him. It was quiet, too quiet, as if all the night animals had vanished. "I feel it too," he said softly. "What do you suppose it is?" Calla whispered. Out of the darkness, a beast landed in the middle of the field, planting its massive paws in the earth, spraying them with dirt and gravel. The Viking opened his jaws and brayed a thunderous growl. Abigail screamed, taking a step back. "I thought you took care of it." "I did," Hugo said. "It must have escaped the bog somehow." Abigail threw a solid blast of witchfire. It hit the Viking in the shoulder, making it roar. Calla joined in, lobbing tiny spurts. "What should we do?" she asked. "Run," Abigail said. They fled down the path, with the Viking only steps behind. Abigail kept turning, flinging witchfire at its slavering jaws. It slowed the Viking, but it didn't stop it. They entered the courtyard and raced toward the great hall. Just a few more steps and they would be inside. A flash of green burst at Abigail's feet, sending her spinning. Someone had shot witchfire at her. She watched from the ground, dazed, as Hugo and Calla reached the top of the steps before realizing she wasn't with them. "Abigail!" Hugo shouted. The beast landed on her. Tearing pain ran up her arm as its claws grazed her skin. Warm blood soaked her uniform. She called up a ball of witchfire, shoving it in the Viking's mouth. Howled, spitting it out to the side, and roared in her face, spraying her with spit. A figure hurtled onto its back. Hugo tried to wrestle it off Abigail. "Get off her, you filthy animal!" The Viking tossed its head back, sending Hugo tumbling across the cobblestones. But the distraction had given Abigail time to get to her feet. She weaved slightly, feeling lightheaded. As the beast leapt at her, she called out the only spell that could save her. "Galli Mordana, Gilli Pomona, Galli Venoma." The Viking froze midair, held in place by the spell. A frightened look came into its eyes as its body shimmered and shook. It pawed frantically, trying to reach Abigail, and then it vanished in a wash of cold air. Abigail was about to help Hugo up when a sudden movement caught her eye. Melistra stepped out from behind a pillar, her face a mask of rage. She raised her hand, holding a ball of witchfire, preparing to send it at Abigail, when light spilled out of the great hall. Melistra retreated into the shadows as Madame Vex rushed out, followed by several other teachers shouting out questions. Abigail tried to explain, but a wave of dizziness hit her, and she sank into oblivion. Oh, what a really good chapter. Oh my goodness, they get back, they're safe, no problem, walk all the way back to the fortress. They're coming in, and all of a sudden, the Viking steps out of the bushes. This time, he's really determined to get Abigail, and so they make a run for it, and they're almost to the Great Hall when all of a sudden somebody, guess who, Melistra, shoots witchfire at her feet, trips her up, and she falls, and the Viking attacks, and he leaps on her and he bites her, and she just is able to fight him up, and Hugo, brave Hugo, jumps on the Viking's back, tackles him, but of course can't stop him, but he gives Abigail time to get to her feet, and she does the only spell she can think of, Gali Mordana, Gili Pomona, Gili Vanoma, don't use that against your friends, kidding, and sends him to the netherworld, right, and she's safe, and then she kind of just fades, right, as Melistra is about to really wipe her out, but she has to hide because everyone comes running. So all really good chapters. So guys, we're almost done. I hope you'll come back tomorrow to read chapter 36 with us. In the meantime, you know, you can press the links in the description and do some of the worksheets. Otherwise, I want you guys to get outside, get some fresh air, have some fun, but most importantly, stay healthy, stay well, stay happy, and Miss Alane will be back again tomorrow, all right?